Today we're making 6 Halloween crafts using stuff from the Dollar Tree. These crafts are really easy to do and they make for some really cute Halloween decor pieces. So let's jump into it. For this Dollar Tree DIY, we're going to take these 2 Halloween cutouts and paint them black and attach some lights behind them, and I think it's going to be kind of a really cool silhouette type thing. So we're going to paint these black. So first thing we want to do is get rid of these ties because we're not going to need them. Also, can I just say, these are incredibly poorly made, and I honestly don't even believe that these are worth $1.25. I really wanted to do a Dollar Tree project video, so that's why we're here. So for this, I'm using apple bear paint. This is my favorite craft paint. It's super cheap, and you can get it really easily. So I'm just gonna shake it up and then pour some out on my little plate here. You could even just pour directly onto your piece, but for this, I just poured it on the plate. This doesn't have to be perfectly coated in the paint because this is gonna be backlit, so it's not too important. But since black is such a dark color, the spread of it does go quite a long ways. Now for these little portions, I'm just gonna squirt just a tiny bit of paint in there, just cause it's taking a bit of time. Taking a little longer than I wanted it to. Now I am painting on top of a silicone mat, so it will be very easy cleanup, but if you're doing this at home, just make sure you're not ruining your table or anything. Make sure there's some kind of protective barrier underneath your project so that you're not ruining your stuff. So we're just gonna let that dry for a little bit and then we can come back and check on it. Alright, so now we can move on to the second one, which is this little pumpkin, and yes, it's gonna be black. I know pumpkins are supposed to be like white, orange, yellow, all those kind of fall colors, but we're going with black. You don't have to use craft paint on this. You could also just spray paint them, but craft paint dries quicker and Halloween is fast approaching, and so I want to really make sure I get all my projects done that I want to get done before Halloween is over. There's really nothing crazy about this process. We're just turning these cutouts into silhouettes. I'm pretty sure that these cutouts are cut out from balsa wood, and it's just really cheap wood. So this is really not my favorite, and I'm so annoyed that I actually spent $1.25 on these when I own a laser and I can make better things. But I've been so envious of everyone making those Dollar Tree crafting videos. I was like, I gotta make one. And it's actually been pretty fun filming these, so I think I am gonna make some more in the future because I'm having a lot of fun. I don't know, you guys let me know down below in the comments if you want to see more Dollar Tree videos. One of the annoying things about this type of wood is that it does accept paint and stain in a very blotchy manner. That's just the way the wood grain is, and so that is kind of annoying because you do get inconsistent results. If you wanted to combat that, you could put something on here called like pre-stain, or put like a sealant on it like polyacrylic, Mod Podge, all that kind of stuff, and that would help seal in the wood and then let whatever paint or stain you're going to use go on more evenly. Like you can see right here on the nose, it's really hard to get that coverage in there. And so now we can just let this dry. It shouldn't take too long. So as this is drying, I am going to clean up the paint off of my silicone mat, and for that I'm going to use these little gator wipes that I have. I got these from Lowe's and they're amazing. They literally clean up everything, like even grease, so they're really awesome. I use this to clean up any kind of paint because oftentimes I just paint directly onto the silicone mat. All it takes is a little bit of elbow grease, and then we have a clean work surface to do what we need to do for the rest of these projects. Okay, so now that the paint is dried on these, we can glue it to this little piece of scrap wood that I got at the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree is adding a lot more crafting supplies to it, which is pretty cool. But so I got this, and I figure we can just glue it to the front of this, that way it can sit up. So I'm gonna glue this. I'm gonna give it a very generous amount of glue here. And then, so that it doesn't glue itself to the silicone, I'm going to glue it like so. Gonna use some activator spray to make it clamp faster. So just let that sit for a moment. So I'm just gonna put a little marking of where that's gonna be for the glue. So what I do want to do too is I want to glue these parts together. So I'm not gonna spray activator on this, and I'm just gonna hold it for the 10 seconds. And that's looking good. Then I'll just add some black paint to the base, and then we can put the lights on the back. So now that all the paint is dry, we can go ahead and glue on our little lights that we got. I got these at the Dollar Tree. They came in either orange or purple, so I got both. So this will be a nice backlit piece. To attach these to the back, I'm gonna be using hot glue. So I'm just gonna hold the cable in place while the glue dries a little bit. Okay, so now that we have the purple lights glued on, we can now put in the orange lights as well. So this does take a little bit of time, just, I'd say be patient and it will look pretty cool. Alright, so for this next DIY, we're going to use these glass jars that you can get at the Dollar Tree. And we are going to use these Halloween labels that I made in Adobe Illustrator and printed them out. And then we're just going to cut them out. You can do this in the print and cut setting with your Cricut, but I didn't want to go through all that hassle, so I'm just going to cut them out with my X-Acto knife. Before I cut out the labels, I am just going to wipe down all the bottles with an alcohol wipe just to get off any kind of dust or finger oils off of them. This will ensure that we get the maximum stickage from this printable vinyl. Now, for a long time, these are really hard to find. I literally bought these like a month before the pandemic happened because they're 91% alcohol. And I bought these originally to clean the beds of my 3D printer. So I'm very happy that I bought them when I did. I have like a whole big old box. All right, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna use 4 or 5 glasses because I have 4 in this shape and 1 in a different shape from that. So we might just end up going with 4, but I'm gonna clean off all 5 just in case I change my mind. So we got this little cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just gonna put the vinyl on top of this and very carefully use this to cut out the labels. I might also bust out my scissors. So I made 5 of these designs. I will have them listed on my Etsy shop and design bundles if you're interested in using them. Let me know down in the comments below which one is your favorite one. So to make this easier to apply the vinyl stickers to the bottles, I'm just going to put the bottles into my cup holder. You can find this on my Etsy shop just so they don't move around as much. So this is the one that I'm not sure about if I'm going to actually use it. So I'm going to put my least favorite label on here. Since this one is just straight lines, I'm just going to use some smaller scissors to just line it up on these straight lines. I'm really bad at cutting things out, so this is actually really hard for me. Thinking back, I probably should have just taken the time to set up the Cricut and do the print and cut feature. So for the Vampire's Blood label, I think we're gonna do this pink one. So when I apply these stickers, I always do the middle first, and then I go push it out to the side. We're gonna do the bone elixir on the green. I don't know why, I just feel like that would be good. Here we go, our bone elixir. And then we have our Heart of Man and our Eye of Newt. Before I printed these out, I did measure my glasses to see what size they needed to be, and they're all roughly 4 inches in height. All right, so now we can fill these up with our props. So for the item jar, we have these little eyeballs to put in. No, they don't fit. Oh, that's so sad. Oh no. Uh-oh, and that is now stuck in there. Perfect. Well, that's a bummer. Oh, how do I even get this out? I'm not sure what to do about the eyeballs. I'm gonna see if maybe I can trim the eyeball. We got one eyeball. All right, this jar is just gonna have janky fake eyeballs. All right, let's cut some eyeballs up. So I'm just trying to cut along the die line, see if that makes it a little easier. I have newts. Fun times. Kind of go like that. Nope. Casualty. I don't know, do you think people are gonna be able to tell these are half eyeballs and not full eyeballs? So I'm gonna just stick one in the top, and that looks pretty full to me. I probably could have gotten one more in there, but... And then there's our bottle of eyes. Much more work than I intended, but we got it done. But for the bone elixir, we do have these bones. There we go, our nice bone elixir ingredient. I might put some liquid in here just to make it look a little bit more like that these bones are soaking in something, and that's why they gotta be added. For the vampire's blood, we're just gonna add water. Here's our vampire blood. So for our next Dollar Tree DIY, we are gonna use these little skeleton head buckets, and we're gonna take these and glue them on top to each other. That way they can hold a candle. I saw these and I thought they'd be really cool. So all we gotta do is pop these off, which is more challenging than I thought it'd be. So we are just gonna cut these off with our little snips. I'm not really sure what the purpose of these buckets are. I don't know if it's just for like party favors, you know, to hand out to kids, I don't know. But they also had some other ones, but I just went with the skeletons. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking around and watching. I truly appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments which DIY is your favorite. We're gonna use hot glue to glue all the 4 skulls together, and we wanna make sure we give it a good amount of coverage of the hot glue. Definitely, I would use more rather than less. And if I were to do this a second time, I would put something heavy in the base skull, just that way it would be more sturdy. I think I'm gonna have them slightly angled, every other one. That way it looks a little more exciting. Try not to burn yourself with the hot glue. That's always a good idea. All right, so I'm gonna move this one to one side and let that fully dry, and then we can do the same thing over here. All right, so we have our 2 things. I'm gonna take some antique paint and mix it with some water. That way we can kind of just darken it up a little bit. So I have this cocoa bean folk art wax, and it's kind of like an antiquing thing. Just gonna shake it up. So I'm just kind of painting this on loosely, very thinly, and then I'll just come back in with like a paper towel and wipe off the excess. You can also do this with black paint. So as you can see, it just adds a little bit of dimension to the piece. If you are gonna make this DIY for yourself, make sure you put some kind of weight in the very first skeleton. Otherwise, they're not gonna be super sturdy. I wish I had done that. But I am just gonna try and make this at the best angle to where it won't fall over, because we are gonna super glue this so that it can hold a candle. So I do have mine pushed more towards the front a little bit to help kind of counterbalance. And let's test it out with a candle on top. And that works fine. So I'm going to carefully set this one off to the side so that we can do the next one. This one's a little more off-center to the left, but that's also, I think, based on the way that I angled these skeletons. But, so that is it for this one, and we can move on to our next DIY project. So for the next DIY, we are going to use these mini cauldron buckets that Dollar Tree sells, and we're going to make the inside hopefully look like it's kind of bubbling and boiling. We have some of this glitter tulle, and we also have some of these LED lights. Now these are technically for Christmas, but at my Dollar Trees, Christmas and Halloween was out at the same time, so I guess for me it worked in my favor. Can I just say these are like the cutest little cauldrons ever. So I don't think I'm going to need very much for each cauldron. And I think I could kind of just even put it like this, and then I think that sort of looks like it's bubbling a little bit. Obviously, I can't use the LED lights for all of them. These might actually even be too big. Oh yeah, this big ol' hunkin' thing. So that looks pretty cool. Kind of just shove it all in there if possible. I think that looks pretty awesome. All right, so one of them will glide up. So basically, and I think what I'll do is I'll put tea lights in these other two just to kind of give it a little bit of a mix and match kind of feel. So let's just cut some more tooling. For this one, I'm gonna put some skulls in here. Kind of make that one like pop out. So they're all like slightly different, but also kind of the same. And then this one, we will put another piece of tooling in as well. So these will just be cute to kind of place, you know, all over your house, little decorations, or if you're doing like a Halloween party, these would be perfect for your table where you're gonna put out the food or anything, just nice little touches of Halloween that aren't quite in your face. For our next DIY, I decided that I wanted to make a terrarium, but I wanted to make it in a Halloween style. So we're gonna make a cerarium. I'm not quite sure exactly what you call it, but so I'm gonna kind of make a little fake faux cerarium with some of the stuff from the Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree recently I've seen had these little terrarium bulbs. They are plastic, but they seem pretty sturdy. And I got some moss and I got this little skeleton garland. And I thought these are small and perfect where we could just kind of snip them out and glue them into here like it's kind of coming out of the ground. I do also have this little stick that I'm gonna cut and turn it into a little grave marker. So we can just do it like that. And then I have some more of these coffee stirrers in case I want to make some more. So I do actually really like this garland a lot, and I'm a little sad that I'm about to chop it all up. So I might be able to get away with just doing one of them, and I can maybe still use the other three as a garland. So I'm going to set these aside, not too far, just in case I do need it. So I'm just going to take these little snippers. I'm just going to snip the little key ring off, and it came off super simple. And then I'm gonna see if I can maybe just kind of pull these off without cutting too much. There we go, like this little ball. Oh, that one came out really easily. There we go. Nice. I think I'm just gonna cut this right here and then kind of do some placements with these bones in a minute. So I'm gonna just put some glue in here. There you go, just kind of packing it in there. So I got this kind of like drier, browner moss for this because it is a, you know, cerarium and not really a terrarium. But I will put a little tiny bit of the greenery in there as well. So basically I'm just building up some layers of glue. Do you want to put a little more on this side over here? All right, we got our little cross. I'm gonna give it just a little touch of brown. So I'm just gonna put a tiny bit on here and just kind of rough it up a little bit. Just darken it up a little bit as if, you know, some dirt got in there. So I think I have enough of the moss. So now I am gonna glue the little cross in. So we got our little cross. Then we're gonna do our little skull head. I'm gonna kind of put him right here, I think. And I think I'm gonna cut this leg. like so. But I'm gonna try and cover some of it with the moss too. There we go. Like his little foot is kind of just hiding, peeking out in there. And then the hand too, we're gonna chop off at the elbow here. I don't think I'm gonna end up putting any of the green moss in there because I do like the way that this looks. But that's looking pretty cool. So I think that's done. So for this next Dollar Tree DIY, I am going to do a little bit of twist on the kind of faux whipped cream Christmas ornaments. I saw these really cute pale little Frankenstein cups and I thought this would be perfect to do kind of that fake whipped cream thing. But instead of whipped cream, I'm going to try and make it look like it's Frankenstein's brain that's in the top of this. And so we're just going to use these Halloween eyes to kind of fill up some of the dead space in there. We're going to use the Dollar Tree spackle, and then I had this piping bag which has a bunch of different tips on it. And what's really cool is one of them, if you look on the back, it's just what they all look like. And I think I'm going to use this middle tip because to me, that kind of looks like the texture of brains. These little tins are so cute. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the tops out of these and then we can put them back in later, or we don't even really have to put them back in at all. It's definitely personal preference. Alright, so the spackle from Dollar Tree is kind of stiff to me, so I might put a little bit of water in there just to kind of help soften it up to put in the piping bag. It's also very hard to open. Wow, these are hard to open. So luckily it's pretty soft still. So what I'm gonna do is put just the smallest amount of water in here just so that we can mix it up easier. And I want this to look like brains, so I'm gonna use some alcohol ink. And that looks kind of more like blood, so hopefully once we mix it up, it'll be fine. And I am just using this little steak knife that I got from the Dollar Tree. This is from a previous project of mine. I'll have it linked up in the corner at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into one of these cups just to make it a little bit easier on me. You know, I should have got a spatula from the Dollar Tree or something, but you live and you learn. So I'm going to put a little more pigment in here because it's not really covering. That's looking pretty good to me, and so just gonna give it another mix here, and then we can put it in our pipe bag. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another one of these cups. I'm gonna put this bag in here. So adding just that little tiny bit of water really did help. It just softened this up a little bit, so it should be pretty easy to pipe it. So I am worried that one of these is not enough to do all three. And I have never done anything like this in my entire life, so let's see how this goes. And why is none of it coming out? Alright, I think the bag is the issue. Pretty sure. If you're gonna do this, I would maybe use different piping bags. Well, in order to salvage this one, I did just kind of push my finger in there, and I'm gonna try and get a different set of bags and everything, and then I think this will work a lot better. Okay, so I got a new piping bag. I got like a real one, and I'm hoping this is gonna work a lot better for the brains on this. The first one looked okay, but I really wanted to use the specific tip because I think it looks the most like brains. I don't know why this project is so hard for me. I am like seriously on the struggle bus with this project. I hope you enjoy watching me suffer. Alright, let's hope round 2 is better with this. It works! I don't know how much this looks like brains like I thought it would look. Well, there's one of them. I think those look pretty good. So now we'll just let them dry for like 24 hours. So for this next Dollar Tree DIY, we are going to make some yarn coasters in the shape of little pumpkins. Now it is this kind of hexagonal shape on purpose. I'm not that bad at crochet. This is a pretty simple pattern, and a lot of people I think should easily be able to follow it. I'll have the written pattern down in the description below for you guys to follow along if you want to. Now this does require kind of a basic understanding of crochet, but honestly crochet is really easy to learn and it's a lot of fun. So the Dollar Tree, or as I like to call it, the 5-quarter tree, has a big yarn selection now. They partnered with Premier Yarn, and it's a really good yarn. I like it, honestly, but I am a newbie. I don't know, this might be like the worst yarn in the entire world. I don't know. I found the crochet hook, but honestly, I've only seen this one time, and I've only seen it in one Dollar Tree. So I'm not sure if they still sell these, but it should be fine. So I made this from one skein of orange yarn, and I still have quite a bit left, so I'm just going to use the same skein that I started from. So I'm going to start by making a magic ring or a magic circle. I'm going to stick my crochet hook underneath and grab this back yarn and twist. Then I'm going to grab my working yarn and I'm going to chain 1 to secure it in place. And then now we have our magic ring. And we're going to do 6 single crochet stitches into our magic ring. So go into the loop and yarn over and pull through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6. And so now you can see we have this open circle here. I really struggle when I do a magic ring method to get the crochet hook into that very first stitch that I made. So I'm just going to double check that I have 6. I'm going to count these V's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to stick my crochet hook under that first stitch we made. And then I'm going to pull this tight, this string that we have left, to make it close to the closed ring as possible. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my working yarn. And I'm going to just slip stitch the ring together. Just like so. And then so as you can see, when we pulled that inner string, it closed the circle. So now what we're going to do is we are going to increase into each stitch, which means we're going to put 2 single crochets into each stitch. I'm going to cut this tail just because it's a little long. So 1 single crochet, and then 2 into that same stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stitch marker in that very first one that I made for this round. I get very confused when I crochet, and I absolutely have to use crochet markers. They are optional. I just really struggle to know where I'm at. So we will continue just putting 2 stitches into each single crochet, and we should end up with a total of 12. So now we can remove the stitch marker since we are back to our first stitch. And then the next one is going to be 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then the stitch after that it will be an increase, so we'll put 2 single crochets into this 1 stitch. So 1 single crochet, I'll put my stitch marker in, followed by 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So 1, 2. I do like the Dollar Tree yarn, but this crochet hook is not the best. So I would recommend just getting one from like Michaels or Joann's. So then we can just continue that same pattern of 1 single crochet followed by an increase for the rest of this round. You'll also know you're doing it in the correct way too, is if the last stitch that you're going to do is the last in your pattern. So for this row, it was 1 single crochet followed by an increase. And so on this last one, it would be the end of the pattern where it's an increase stitch. And so we know that we're on the correct path, and it just kind of helps so that you don't have to count all the time. So 1 stitch and then 2. So now we can take our stitch marker out, and now this time, what we're going to do for the pattern is we're going to flip it. We're going to start off with an increase stitch followed by 1 single crochet and then 1 single crochet. Then we'll do our increase and then single crochet, single crochet. I'm doing the pattern this way, that way it kind of has that hexagonal-ish shape, because if you just do it like 1 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase, then it's going to be more round, and I kind of wanted this hexagon shape for these pumpkins. And if you want a really easy way to learn crochet, I suggest going with a company called The Woobles. They have fantastic tutorials and fantastic little kits, and I like them a lot, so you should definitely check them out. So we're starting with our increase, so we're going to go 1, my stitch marker in so I don't forget, because I also do that a lot too. And then put another one in there. So that finishes our increase. And then now in the next stitch, we'll put 1 single crochet, and then we'll go to the next stitch and do 1 single crochet, and then just repeat that pattern for the rest of this round. Now for the next round, we're going to flip it again, and we're going to do 3 single crochets followed by the increase. So I'm going to do my first single crochet, and then put my stitch marker in. So 1 single crochet, my second single crochet, and then the third single crochet. Then we'll do our increase. So 1 in the increase, and then 2 in the increase. And then we're just gonna finish that for the rest of this round. You know the drill. And then so you can tell we're on the right track again, because it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, followed by the increase. So we're ending the round in the correct way, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now there are a couple ways you could hold your hook. You can hold it like a pencil, or you can hold it like a knife. I do the knife option. Can't remember if I did 1 or 2, so I'm gonna undo that. Just want to make sure it's right, and that's the nice thing about crochet. If you mess up, you can easily undo it. So now, you guessed it, we're going to swap it again. We are going to do an increase followed by 4 single crochet stitches. So 1, and then 2, 3, and then 4, and then we're just going to continue that pattern. So for the next row, it's going to be 5 single crochets followed by an increase. And so now we're coming up on our last 5, followed by the increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our increase. 1 and 2. Okay, so now we are coming up to our last row, and the last row will be an increase followed by 6 single crochet stitches. One thing I do like about this pattern that I made is that it is super quick. You can easily make a bunch of these in like one sitting. So now we've done the last stitch. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and I'm going to slip stitch into just that next stitch over. So now we have our pumpkin shape, and so we can get our brown yarn going here. So we are going to do 6 single crochets in our brown yarn. This is to make the stem. So I'm gonna yarn over and pull through. I'm gonna take this new color yarn and pull it through. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm gonna tie a little knot on the back of this so that it doesn't come undone before I move on. So we've done our 6 single crochets, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So we're going to skip 1 stitch and then do single crochets. So we skip that one, so 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So we're going to chain 1 again, turn our work over, and we're going to skip another stitch. And then we will do 3. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to skip 1 stitch and do 1 single crochet followed by 1 more. And then what we can do is fasten off. So I'm going to cut this little strand off on the back here. Then we can cut these 2 off. And then ideally you want to weave this end in, but for this video I'm just going to snip it. And there you go. We have our pumpkin coaster. Pretty happy with it considering it's my first time making my own kind of pattern. So go easy on me in the comments, guys. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you got all the way to the end, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite project was that we made. Also, let me know if you have any questions or comments or concerns about the video down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks for watching guys. See you on the next one. Bye.